If you want to translate I miss you into French, that will be tu me manques, which literally means you are missing from me. You were a part of me, but now you're gone and I am incomplete. That is far more poetic and yet more realistic, wouldn't you say? On an interview at Google Talks, Noam Chomsky was asked what he believed was the greatest contribution of linguistics to human knowledge. And he said, "First than anything, language is a system of thought, not a system of communication. You can communicate using any other device, the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the way you walk. By choosing all those other elements, you are communicating something to the world. But you can only think using language." Of course, anything that has to do with language is still a theory. Nothing is objectively right or wrong, but when you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. And this poses a contradiction to the way we usually think of language. If you ask any person what does he or she expect to achieve with language, they most frequently will say, "I want to speak in the language, fluently, naturally. I want to understand what people are saying." But on very rare occasions, you will hear someone say, "I want to think in English. I want to understand how people think." Because then again, we don't see a new language as a new way of thinking. Denis Diderot, a French philosopher from the 18th century, once said, as a prediction, that French was to become the language of science, while German and English would become the language of literature. But how come that one language can be better to serve one purpose and other languages could be better for a different one? What is the rationale behind this idea? French is a clear language, he said. The ideas follow one another and you can form thoughts in the same way that you form them in your head. He said that French was good to tell the truth, whereas German and English were good languages to tell fantasies, that is, to tell stories. Now, this doesn't by any means suggest that there are no good French literature or that English speakers can discuss science. Of course not. But this can give us an idea of how thinking in different languages can lead to different results. Just take the example from the beginning. The analog version of I miss you in French is tu me manques, which is trying to convey the same idea of missing, of longing, but the French version is so much more profound and it does a better job at representing this idea, at least for me. And now let's take a look at a second example, love, but more specifically falling in love. In romantic relationships, falling in love is the concept of moving from a feeling of neutrality towards a person to one of love. We have our own version of that expression in Spanish, which is enamorarse, and basically means to become in love. But I find the English version of the expression much more representative to what it actually happens. Because this transition, this moving from not feeling anything to being in love is an accident. You don't walk into love. You don't jump into love. You don't walk by saying, "Oh, I'm going to fall in love tomorrow," or "I'm going to fall in love with her." You can't. It's just an accident and you can't help it. You just fall in love. Whoever tells you that love is a choice is either lying to your face or has no idea what he's talking about. Julio Cortázar wrote in his novel Hopscotch, as if you could pick in love, as if it were not a lightning bolt that split your bones and leave you staked out in the middle of the courtyard. You don't pick out the rain that soaks you to the skin when you come out of a concert. And that represents to me what love is: an accident, a tragedy, something you cannot expect or prevent. And yes, the language you decide to use to express this or any other feeling will make no difference in the feeling itself. The in-love version of yourself will love with the same intensity in any language. But the way you think about it, the process of shaping this concept will vary a great deal if you do it in French, in German, in English, or what have you. I thought about this idea in English. Had I thought about it in Spanish, the result might have been completely different. Stop interpreting the language that you are witnessing. Start thinking on it. You might fall in love with the language for good.